Okay, class. Today we are going to have our new topic on angles and direction. Okay, let me share some slides. Okay, so angles and directions. Uh, Remember that we have different measurements taken from different surfaces, like horizontal surface, vertical surface, and of course, we have uh, the angle measurements. No, so along the vertical, so we know how to get the vertical angles. We can identify, and then on the horizontal surface, we have also measurement of angles and directions. Okay, so let's start with defining or okay, what is this angles and direction about? So when you're trying to locate or determine the location of points, let's say point A and B, so and where it's going, saan ba yung ano ba yung orientation niya? No, what is the orientation of their lines? So we frequently depend on the measurements of its angles and direction. Okay, let me Okay, so on horizontal distances, we have learned about getting the measurement by means of pacing, right? So we have a horizontal distance. Let me use the black pen. Okay, so we have horizontal distance. So we learn how to get the horizontal distance by means of pacing, no? We use our pace factor. And then we also learn how to measure distances and correct the distances by taping or taping measurements, no? And then we also learned how to measure vertical distances. Vertical. Okay. Distances, of course, by leveling, no? In here, you are going to use an instrument, no? Level instrument. So there are different kinds of instrument which I have already introduced to you. And of course, we have different um ways of getting the difference in elevation. Now, if 2 points are only I mean the 2 points are visible to each other and they can be easily resolved by just one setup of the level instrument, then we can use the simple leveling, no? Isang setup lang yan. So, simple leveling lang. Now, I have also discussed to you the differential leveling. So in differential leveling, when you are trying to get the difference of 2 points, and these 2 points is not intervisible to each other, so you need to have a series, no, multiple instrument setups. And then have also shown to you the basic of the profile leveling, no? Kung saan sa profile leveling, they have similar operations as with the differential leveling. Kaya lang dito sa profile leveling, what you're trying to get here is the contour or the ground formation of your proposed road projects or any other infrastructure for that matter. And then you're trying to draw the ground formation so that you can come up with a design, no, appropriate design for that particular project. So, and you usually get different or maraming points, no, you can get so many points there, and you call them the intermediate foresights. So those are the things. And so this in this topic we are about to learn, we are going to talk about angles and direction. Okay, so as I have mentioned here that if you want to locate the points and where it's going through to, no, so it's you are trying to get the direction of your point. So you need the angles and direction. So for the most part, angles in surveying are measured with a transit, theodolite, or total station, although angles can also be measured, no, less precisely. Uh, oops. Less precisely, um, or precisely with clinometer, sextants, or compass, no, for hydrographic survey ito. Okay, so all right. So okay, let's move to the next page. So what is an angle? Oh, yun yung laging tinatanong natin. Ano ba ang angle? So when you talk about angle, so we want to know what is actually the meaning of an angle. In plane geometry, a figure which is formed by two rays or lines that shares a common endpoint is called an angle. So it means pag may dalawang lines kayo or rays, when you say rays, you you mean this. So pag sinabi kasing rays, so meron siyang dot dito tapos meron siyang arrow, no? Yun. Or simply line, no? Line. So you can say a line. Now, if these two lines, kind of lines that we have intersects at a common point. So let's say this is your common point. This is the line, no? Okay, or this is the ray. Okay. Now the distance between the two rays or lines is what you call the angle, no, it's formed by extending the two lines, no, coming from a common point going to a certain direction. Now the word angle is derived from the Latin word angulus, which means corner. Okay, all right, so next we have the classification of angles in surveying. Okay, so we have the classification of angles in surveying. Number one, we have the horizontal angle. Okay, so horizontal angle, if you can see in this picture, okay, para siyang sa surface, no? Naka-flat yun, no? Na if you're trying to get the angle of 2 points, like we have here, let me check. Okay, in a vertical angle, so meron tayong vertical angle din, no? So in a vertical angle, you can see if you want to get the height of a building, you usually get the angle of elevation from a horizontal line. Okay? So, kukuha ka ng vertical angle mo, it's always coming from a vertical line. So, like your line of sight, and then diretso to, this is the horizontal line, get the angle. Or you can also get the vertical angle mula dito sa baba, no? Dito sa baba, this vertical angle also, and this is your horizontal line. So that is in vertical angle, no, with regards to vertical angle. But when we talk about horizontal angle, the think of a plane surface na let's say a football field, no? Let's say a football field. So meron kang point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, and then we draw the direction, no? Okay? So we have the parang Cartesian siya, no? Coordinate system. Okay, so we have the north, south, east, and west. Now, if you want to locate the point, no, you always refer to a reference line. So usually when you try to get a bearing, the bearing of the line, it is always coming from the north or from the south. So the bearing, no, meron tayong sa horizontal angle, may classification tayo dyan. Dalawang klaseng angle, meron tayong bearing at saka yung azimuth. So when we talk about bearing, it is an angle which is less than 90 degrees within a quadrant defined by the cardinal directions. So yung cardinal directions mo ay yung north, south, east, and west. While azimuth is an angle between 0 degrees and 360 degrees, and it's usually measured clockwise from the north. Now, listen, in this case, this is our this is what we're going to follow, no? Kasi may mga azimuths that is measured from the south, no? From the south. So, but this is usually used by navigators sa dagat, no? But in our class, we are going to measure our azimuth clockwise coming from the north. So, yun yung ating susundan, no? Yun yung ating kailangan na sundin. Okay. Now, we have bearing or the bearing lines, no? How to name the bearing? Paano ba natin pinapangalanan ang bearing? Okay. So let's duplicate this and we're going to take this out first. Okay. So how do we name a bearing? Okay. So yun yung isang basic na kailangan natin intindihin, no? How do we name bearings? Okay. So this is the basic in the angles and direction for us to be able to know how to name, no, bearings. Okay, so let's say for example we have um, these cardinal directions. So let's say we have north, south, east, and west. Okay. So kumbaga, ito yung ating north. So we represent N for north, and then we represent S for the south. Okay. And we represent E for the east and W for the west. Okay. Now, in this coordinate system, I mean the cardinal directions, no? Meron tayong quadrant dito. So meron tayong apat na quadrant. So we have quadrant 1. Okay. we'll name it small lang, no? This is quadrant 2. And then we have quadrant 3. And then finally, we have the quadrant 4. Okay. So, paano ba dinodrawing or paano ba pinapangalanan ang mga bearings? Now, importanteng malaman natin ang direction ng north, east, south, and west. So, if you have a point on the first quadrant, okay, let me get small one. So, if you have a point, let's say we name this as point P. Okay. So, if you have a point in the first quadrant, and then we name it as point P. Okay. So, point P yan. And the center, no, is O. Okay. Now, the angle between two lines that we consider here is the angle, is the line that is usually coming from, usually referred to the north or south. No, always yan, class. When you measure a bearing, no, when you measure a bearing or when you name a bearing, it must always come from the north or coming to the south and going to the bearing line. Okay, for example, you have this OP, bearing line OP. Now we call this bearing line OP. So bearing line OP. Okay. So in this drawing class, no, let's say line OP is like 40 degrees. Kumbaga, this is 40 degrees, no? 40, and then you have like degree. Now, how do you name this sa bearing? Now, if you have this class, no, you always start with your uh, major na cardinal direction, which is the north. Okay. So, sulat natin dito yung north muna. So, we say north and then 40 degrees and then east. So that's how you name the bearing. So what if the point is on the second quadrant? Let's say dito naman, no? Nandiyan yung point natin. So we are going to draw a line from the center going to this point, and then we name this as point Q, no? Let's say this is point Q. Okay, now angle has to be measured from the south, no? Hindi siya dito, not here. Okay, not here. It is always coming or measured from the north or south. So mula dito sa south, you have to draw an arrow going to the line o Q. So this is the line. So let's say this is 30 degrees, no? Kumbaga. So let's say this is 30 degrees. So how do you name line OQ? Okay, so how do you name line OQ? So OQ now is south, no? Kasi galing sa south. So it has to be south 30 degrees, the angle distance, no? And then you write the east. Papunta siya sa east. So this is going to the east too. Ito rin, no? So this is east. Okay, what if the point is here? Okay. Now, you also draw the line from the center going to this line, and we name this bearing line OR. So let's say R ito. And let's say the angle is let's say 75. Okay. Let's say this is 75 degrees. So how do we name this line OR? Okay, so OR is south siya, galing siya sa south, and then the angular distance, which is 75 degrees, and then going to the west, no? So southwest siya. Okay, now what if the angle is here? Okay, so this is your line. Let's change, consistent tayo dito. Okay, so let's say this is the line going here. Okay, and then let's say this is 25 degrees or 28 degrees. No. Okay. Now, this is letter OPQRS. Okay, so let's say this is S. Now, bearing line OS is equal to north, no? North na siya. So we have north 28 degrees kasi galing siya sa north, no? So 28 degrees going to the west, right? So this is how you name bearings, no? Ganito lagi. It must always be less than 90 degrees, and it should always be measured from the north, no? From the north or to the south. Or from the south, I mean. From the north or from the south. Hindi pwede, no? I will say it again, not like this. Okay? That is not how you name the bearing, or not like this. Hindi pwedeng ganyan. So that's also incorrect. And so with the other lines. Okay, now this is for the bearing. How about uh the azimuth? Okay. So let's try to draw again another line. So let's say this is okay. Now for the azimuth, how do we name azimuths? How do we measure azimuth? So that will be the question. How do we measure azimuths? Okay, so let's write again the north, south, our cardinal direction. Okay, so we have the north again, no? And we have the south, and we have the east, and of course, we have the west. Okay, so let's try to get the same value, no? Dito. So here you can see we have point P, and then you have point Q, point R, point S, no? Then let's draw the line. Okay. So we have the center, no? Okay, so isa-isahin muna natin. Let's do it one by one. Okay, now let's say this is uh, point P, no? So this is point O. So let's try to write here the line OP. Okay. So for bearing, so bearing line, no, bearing line OP, Yung bearing niya is bearing of line OP. Usually ganyan tayo nagsusulat, no? OP. Okay. So bearing line OP is equal to, let's say this is, ano nga ba kanina, 40, no? 40 degrees. So this is 40 degrees. We'll just copy, no, whatever it is on the previous. Okay, so we have 40 degrees. So therefore, ang bearing line niya is northeast, no? So we have north 40 degrees and then east. Now, in azimuth class, sa azimuth of line OP. Now, azimuth of line OP should be measured from the north and then clockwise. Okay, take note that it should be measured from the north and then clockwise direction. Okay, now if you're going to follow this rule, so it has to be coming from here going to this line. So therefore, this is only 40 degrees. Now, take note that in azimuths, we don't write the direction. Okay? In azimuths, we don't write the direction. So dito sa bearing, lalagyan importante, it's required that we have to write the direction of the line, north and then east. But in azimuth, you don't need to write the N and the letter E, just simply the number or the angular distance. Okay, now you notice that if the line is in the quadrant 1 or in the first quadrant, the value of the angle in the bearing is the same as that of the azimuth. Kung 40 siya sa bearing line, 40 din siya sa azimuth. Kung ito ay nasa first quadrant. Now, pag isusulat mo ng azimuth, yung difference lang is in bearing line, you have to write the direction. It's on the northeast. Pero dito sa azimuth, you don't need to write the north or the east. Understood siya na pag wala siyang north or east, that is an azimuth. Okay, now let's go to line OQ. Okay, so this is line OQ. So let's change this line and put a Q. Okay, so OQ, let's say this is, ano nga ba yung ating angle dyan? Okay, so hindi siya the same, no? Okay, let's say this is like 50 degrees, no? So let's say this is 50 degrees. So going to the east. And this is 50 degrees. Okay. Now we also write the bearing or the line. So we have line OQ. So we write the bearing line OQ is southeast, no? So it's south 50 degrees and then east. Now what about the azimuth? Again, we follow the same direction as we did on the line OP, no? So by the way, let me have another ano no. So if you have this line color, let's say color red, no? So red is this is your bearing. Gagawa lang tayo ng legend class, no? Bearing. And for the blue one, so let's put an azimuth here. Okay, so this is the blue one. Okay, now here you have 40, so same, no? Now, look, in line OQ, your azimuth has to be coming from north all the way to the line OQ. So this will be your azimuth. So your azimuth is 90 degrees since this is 90 degrees class. No, remember, this is 90 degrees. So 90 degrees plus this angle, no? This angle here. Okay, itong angle na to. Since this is 90, this is 50, ibig sabihin 40 yan. So therefore, our azimuth line OP, azimuth of line OP is equal to 90 degrees plus 40 degrees, no? Which is equals to 130 degrees. Or since this is 180 degrees, 'di ba? This is 180 degrees. I-less mo lang siya ng 50. This is your azimuth, no? This is how you measure the azimuth. 180 degrees minus mo ng 50 degrees, that is also equal to 130 degrees. Okay? All right. So, we have line OP with line OQ. Okay, what about line so this is our next line. This is line OR. Okay. This is line OR. Okay. And OR is, let's say this is 75 degrees from the south. So this is your bearing line. Okay. So let's copy this. Put it here. So this is line OR. Ito OQ to, no? So we'll change first para hindi tayo malito. This is OR. Okay, now line OR, if this is 75 degrees, okay, so our bearing line is south 75 degrees because it's coming from the south going to the west, so southwest. Okay, now for the line of azimuth of line OR, we have to measure our angle from the north, okay, from the north going to the line OR. Okay, now I have told you that this line is 180 degrees. So obviously you can add 180 degrees plus the 75 degrees. That will be your azimuth of line OR. Okay, so let's write it down. So 180 degrees plus 75 degrees. So that will give you 255 degrees. Okay. Now, or you can also say 270 degrees minus this angle. No? Baliktad. Pwede rin yun. Okay. Now let's go to the last line, which is the OS. Okay. OS. So this is your S. And your angle is here from the north going to towards the western part, no? So let's say this is 28. So 28 degrees. Okay, so line OS So, line OS, litan din natin to ng S. Okay. So, line OS now is, bearing of line OS is equals to north, 28 degrees, and then west. And what about the azimuth? Azimuth is simply equal to 360 degrees. So, yung buong circle na yun, i-less mo lang ito, no? Dahil ang iyong angle is coming from the north, okay, going to this line. So, this is your azimuth, okay? So, this is equal to 360 degrees. Ima-minus mo ng 28 degrees. So, this is equal to 360 degrees less 28 degrees is 332 degrees. So, this is your azimuth of the line, no? So, if you will be asked to convert bearings to azimuth, this is how you do it, okay? Um, all right, so okay, let's do an example here. The azimuth of a boundary line is 128 degrees, 13 minutes, and then 46 seconds. So first thing that you have to do is to draw the cardinal directions. You have to do the reference meridian, no? When you say meridian, this is the north and south meridian. So you have the north and you have the south, you have the east, and you have the west. Okay, now you are going to change these azimuths to bearing. But first, you have to plot, no, saan ba banda ito? So then, since this is more than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees, so this will be on the quadrant 2. Okay, nasa quadrant 2 siya. So 128 degrees, 13 minutes, 46 seconds. So 90, 100. So somewhere here, no? Somewhere here. Let's draw the line. Okay, so baga dito siya banda. So this is your line, no? Baga ito yung line natin. So let's say this is point P. Okay. And of course, you have to draw the azimuth, no? Yung azimuth natin is mula dito papunta dito. And that is 128 degrees, 13 minutes, and then 46 seconds. I advise that you really have to draw the figure para makita nyo ng maayos, no? So since you are trying to convert these two bearings, so therefore, your angle has to be coming from the south, going to this line, no? So ano to? Theta na to. Okay? So theta is the angular distance, not the bearing. Okay? So theta is the angular distance. Okay. Now, in order to get the theta should be equal to 180 degrees. Ima-minus mo to, no? Yung azimuth. Minus 128 degrees, 13 minutes, and then 46 seconds. So, theta is equal to, so get your calculator. You press 180 degrees, then the sign of the degrees, no? Yung may bilog-bilog. Minus mo ng 128 degrees, then 13 minutes, press again that button, and then 46 seconds, equal sign. So your angular distance is 51 degrees, and then 46 minutes, and then 14 seconds. Now, bearing line OP, so this is letter O, okay? Bearing line OP is equals to south 51 degrees, 46 minutes, 14 seconds. East. Don't forget the east, no? Without these two, it can never be a bearing line. So you have to write it down, complete your naming of bearing, because if you will not do that, I'm going to mark it as wrong in the examination. Okay, next we have the next exercise. The first course of a boundary survey is written as north 37 degrees, 13 minutes west. What is its equivalent azimuth? Now, again, I advise that you write the reference meridian. Okay. Now, when it's northwest, so this is northeast, this is southwest, this, no, southeast, no? This is southeast, southwest, and this is northwest. So this is northwest. So therefore, your line should be within this quadrant. Okay. So since it's north going to the west and it's to only 37, okay, your line should be probably on this area. Okay. Now, this is your line 37 degrees. Okay. And then 13 minutes. Okay. All right. So let's name that as point Q, no? O and then Q. Right. So our azimuth class is coming from the north, no? Don't forget that. It's always coming from the north and then going to this line. So this is your theta. Okay. Again, your theta is an angular distance. Okay. Theta is your angular distance. Okay. Now, getting the theta is simply equal to 360 degrees minus 37 degrees, 13 minutes. So, theta is also the azimuth. Okay. So, that will be equal to 360 degrees less 37 degrees, 13 minutes. So, that is 322 degrees, 47 minutes. Okay. All right. So this is how you do for your angles and azimuth. So then we have another exercise. I want you to do this on your own. No, you can pause the video, and then try to solve it on your own. Okay, try to solve it on your own. This time you are going to convert that these azimuths from the north, no, to bearings. No, you have to compute the angles. Okay. All right. So I want you to pause the video and then compute, solve it. Okay. So let's answer this. So after you answered, you can refer your answer to my solution. Okay. So number one, we get this 43 degrees 00 minutes 36. Remember, if if this is less than 90 degrees and this is an azimuth, this is located in the first quadrant. No. So let's, okay. So this is number one. 43 degrees. No? Kung 43 degrees siya, nandito siya banda. Okay. Now, if this is an azimuth and it's located in the first quadrant, your angular distance, no, azimuth is equals to the bearing, the angular distance. Okay. Theta here, which is your angular distance. Theta is the angular distance. Okay. is equal to, so azimuth is equals to the bearing, no? This is less than 90 degrees. So therefore, this 43 degrees, 00 minutes, 36 seconds, this is equal to, if you're going to get the bearing line, this is northeast, no? This is northeast. Let's follow the red line. Okay. So therefore, this is north, 43 degrees, 00 minutes, and then 36 seconds. And then you have to write the east because it's northeast. Okay. So we check this. And then we have the next one. This is 141. Okay, now look here. This is less than 180 degrees and more than 90. So therefore, this is somewhere here. Oops, sorry. Okay, so if that is your azimuth, that is 141 degrees, 25 minutes, and then this is 34 seconds. And of course, your bearing should be coming from the south, going to that line. Okay, so this is your angle. Okay, solve for the angular distance. Angle is equals to 180 degrees less 141 degrees, 25 minutes, and then 34 seconds. So therefore, your theta is equals to 180 degrees less 141 degrees, 25 minutes, and then 34 seconds. So, your bearing, this angular distance lang to, no? 38 degrees, 34 minutes, 26 seconds. So, bearing is equal to south, 38 degrees, 34 minutes, and 26 seconds. Okay. And then we have the next one, 230. No? So 230 is more than 180 but less than 270. Okay? 0, this is 0, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, this is 270 degrees. So this 0 at saka 360 degrees. Okay, since this is what 230, so therefore that is less than 270 but more than 180. So this is somewhere here. Ito yan. Okay? Okay. Now you're going to draw your azimuth mula dito. Oops. So your azimuth from the north going to that line. Okay. And then your theta is, or your bearing is this one. Kailangan mo ito. Okay. So you're trying to get the theta here. Now, theta here should be, if you can see, this is 200, this is 180, right? So you have to deduct the 230 degrees. So this is 230 degrees. And then 12 minutes, 20 seconds. So your theta is equals to 230 degrees, 12 minutes, 20 seconds. Less natin ito ng um, 180 degrees, no? Ang inileles mo ay itong line na to. This is 180 degrees. Parang matira ay theta. So, your theta is equal to 50, no? 200 minus 180 is 20 plus 30. So, 50 degrees. Oops, you forgot the direction. So, this is in the south. So, 50 degrees, 12 minutes, and 20 seconds west. Okay. All right. So there you go. This is for 330 now. So we can take this out. All right. So we use this. Okay. So we finish this one, and then now we go to this. 330 is more than 270 but less than 360, of course. So this has to be something somewhere here. Okay. And this is your azimuth, 360 degrees. Okay, 360, no, 330 degrees, I mean. 30, 35 minutes, and then 48 seconds. And of course, this is your bearing line, or your angular distance of your bearing. Okay, so bearing line is equal to 360 degrees less mo tong 330. 330 degrees, 35 minutes, and then 48 seconds. So your theta is 360 less 330 degrees, 35 minutes, 48 seconds. So that is 29 degrees, 24 minutes, 12 seconds. Now, your bearing of the line, okay, kung may pangalan yan, di lalagyan nyo yung line, anong pangalan yan, that is equals to north, 29 degrees, 24 minutes, and then 12 seconds west. So, there you go. Okay, ito yung theta, no? Hindi pa pala ito. Um, ito pala ay ang angular distance. So, we can delete this. No? And this is your bearing. Okay. All right. So, we're going to stop this video on this. We finish this kasi medyo mahaba na to, no? Baka hindi ko na ma-upload. So, this will be we ended here. We will continue on the next video for this example. Okay. So, there you go.